Hey guys, so I bought this backpack today for work. Um, More on who I work for and whatever details on that. But I'll do a video on that shortly. But first, while I got it out and I'm going through it, I have my toolbox that I use every day on the job site. Um, I am an industrial electrician now. I used to be in the Navy, worked in nuclear power as a submarine nuclear electrician. No longer employed by them. But so I wanted to show you guys what I bring with me on the day to day. What is my normal toolbox loadout? So this is the rig that I use. I take it to pretty much every job that I go to. Has all the go-to tools in here. So yeah, let's go through it. All right, this is the rigid rolling toolbox system. I did want to go for a Milwaukee pack-out system, but Home Depot does not carry them as much as they should. It's an amazing system, a little more expensive. I think this one cost me around $180, where a Milwaukee pack-out system for a similar loadout, the base rolling box, regular toolbox, and a see-through organizer would have cost me around $280. So about $100 savings. But this one had all the features that I wanted. It has this nice rubber gasket on all the containers. It's glass reinforced plastic. Pretty quality. This was the second choice. I looked at the DeWalt system like this, and I was pretty disappointed. I tried to open it, and the latch fell off of the DeWalt box. This one didn't have that problem. Some of the lashing mechanisms like this that holds the boxes together on the DeWalts are made out of plastic. You can buy replacement ones if they break, but I wasn't a fan of this being plastic and these latches falling off with not even moderate use. I opened the box and the latch fell off. So some of the things I have in my organizer, I'm an electrician, so I have a wire label kit here. I have sticky backs, which are adhesive blocks, I guess you would call them, that you send wire ties through for tying down small control wiring. I have various sizes of wire nuts. We do have some migration in here that's kind of important for these types of boxes. This is after repeated use. You don't want that, but this has happened. This could be that the box wasn't completely shut. The lid, probably contributing, is set up for the smaller boxes. So there's this gap for these bigger boxes that's left open, so you could have some migration. I got butt splices, heat shrink butt splices, spade connectors, ring terminals, batteries, AAA and AA for flashlights, and my headlamp, because sometimes we work in the dark. You have to shut off power. Try to have every color of electrical tape. Comes in handy when you're marking off wires and sending them through. My color on the job site that I chose is orange, so I mark all my tools with the orange tape. And orange is one of the phase colors. I keep my lockout, tagout, safety locks in here. Always need those for every job. I'm going to pause the video and set up the next toolbox. One more thing, the boxes, they snap into place to lock each other down. And don't forget to latch the lid before you take it off, because I've done that before, and probably another reason why they're all messed up in there. Okay, so here it is. When I'm on the job site, I set it up kind of like this. Usually this goes up against a wall. I take the lid, put it behind, because there's a space there with the wheels, a little gap. I'll typically open this toolbox and pull this piece out and set it in front. And then my little divider that I rarely go in, but sometimes I need to, just tuck it off to the side. I take off all my jewelry and put it in there too, so that I am safe, because jewelry sometimes is a metal hazard when you're working with electricity, being a conductor, and other times it's a snag hazard. So this is what I'm normally looking at. Put this nice and square in front. These are my go-to like socket extensions, and my torque wrench goes everything that I'm normally grabbing out of here that I don't want to put buried in a bag. Some things that save the day. These little trash things that come with your kits. I always need a Phillips, so that's why it's not in there. Typically, I already have it set up in one of these extensions dedicated for screw driving Phillips heads, to take faces off of breakers. I always carry extra 9/16 in multiple sizes. I mark all my tools with orange. I use a paint pen. It's not really good focus. It's kind of dim in here, so the camera doesn't want to work right. But I put paint on all of my tools where it's not going to wear off. If you put it on a smooth surface, it'll just wear off. I should have put some in that groove too. But I do the letters. Just take a paint pen, and I got one right here. I use this guy. Go over all my tools, like I said, in the grooves and over the letters. Once it dries, you go back over it with a razor blade, and you can scrape off the extra paint. What else do I have in here that I always use? These things. I always end up using 7/8, but there's not always space between bus bars to get in there and get on the nut. So we typically only use 3/8 drive. Finding a 3/8, 7/8 inch short socket. I found 2 on the shelf today. I bought 2. I cleared them out because I always need them. So I have various swivels in here. These go on my impact gun. These are hot commodity in case you want to use your impact driver to drive. Sockets of various sizes. I typically don't do it a lot, but when I do need it, I need it. You know what I'm saying? 9/16, 9/16. I got a whole magnet clippy thing. A little tappy tap, just in case. Sometimes you need a little tappy tap. Typically when I'm working with bus bars and stuff that I need the tappy tap, I want to have something soft, but I've noticed that hammers that are dead blows that are soft usually don't have enough weight behind them sometimes. So I prefer to have more weight than needed, and I'll gauge the force with my hands. These are indispensable. Magnet trays. I have a big one. All kinds of fasteners. We use bolts for bus bars, and we take screws off of breakers and terminals. Panel cover bolts. So this box I have set up is, if you haven't noticed, is all my Amish tools, if you will, manual. I have various bags. Focus better. It's not focusing, you guys. Oh my goodness, this dim light's killing it. All right, so I got these various organizer bags. I write my name on them. They're fabric, made by Milwaukee. Fantastic. They usually come in 3 in a set. I have my Uglies book in here. Haven't needed to use it yet, but if I do need to use it, there it is. These Milwaukee boxes in here, I labeled them, put my name on them, my orange paint, signature. Because they're in here and they all look the same, I wrote on there in permanent marker what each one is. So drill bits, hex Allen, and screw bits. These, a neat feature I learned on another channel, these stack. They're designed so that they fit together. This hole that's on here was originally designed for a belt clip that Milwaukee sells, but it's kind of hard to find it. So these lock in place. You see that's on an angle there. Unlock it, it slides. So these are designed to fit together and stack and lock in. So typically, I'll line these up all the same way. That's not. Where is it? Nope. And they kind of lock into place in this little corner. I have one with wrenches, one full of screwdrivers that I insulated with tape. These are Harbor Freight Quinn screwdrivers. Fantastic. They're the most top shelf ones that Harbor Freight has. I haven't had any problem with them. The whole set comes with every screwdriver you'd ever need. They have magnetic tips. They're pretty great. Orange tape, like I said before. That's my color on the job site. I have a whole bag full of tweakers, which are little baby screwdrivers. I always need tweakers. This is my magnetic socket organizer. All the cabinets we work on are steel. So typically, the only sizes I ever need are 5/8, 7/8, 9/16, and that's it. That's all I need. But I have these just in case. So I'll go into a job site, magnetic backer on this. I'll slap it onto the side of the panel, and all of my sockets are right where I need them. You can see this one is broken at the end here. I wouldn't buy this again, or I would keep buying it just because it is kind of nice. It does have positive capture for these sockets. You know, it does like lock on there real nice. Unlike, I don't like some of the magnetic strip ones where you just stick it on there. I feel like if you knock it on the side, it falls off. But they're pretty strong. Some of the guys on my job site have those, that I work with have those. I'm the only person that has these. They saw that one break and they didn't want to buy this. They did want to buy it, and then they saw that and they didn't. So this side is metric. I never use those, even though my company is owned by the French. And this is all my standard sizes. These are the 7/8, 3/4, the other one. 5/8 and 9/16 is about all I use. There were smaller sizes in standard. I took those off because I never use them. When I pack out my backpack, I'm probably only going to use these guys. It is kind of bulky, fitting that in there. Takes up a lot of space. It's a little awkward. But while it's in the box, it does hold all the sockets on there, and I don't have to worry about them coming off and just filling the bottom. There are some hidden tools underneath the bags. I have a bag full of, this is all Allen stuff, Allen and Torx that I randomly need. It is kind of dark, so let's give some light to the subject. In the bottom here, my randomly going to tools. I have an extra long extension, just in case. I got a little file there in case I cut some metal. I have had to cut holes in panels to install so far a screen. Sometimes we put other things in there when we upgrade panels. To do that, I needed a square. So I got this. It's not a speed square. Or is it? It's a combo square. Use that to install a PLC touchscreen. I got a level because we level our brackets and stuff. Sometimes when we're putting in larger breakers. I have this rack of Allens. I got a rack of short Allens too. These Nipex style pliers. These are not Nipex. I believe these are Milwaukee. They are Milwaukee. Boom, focused. That's what happens when you put a light in there. Marked with my orange paint, again, where it can't wear off. It looks neat that way. It kind of highlights the curves. Curves are beautiful. We got these. These are my backup set. This is my personal set that I had before that I used every day. I believe these are Klein's. I have a set of Dykes that were my personal ones. What brands were they? I don't remember. These might not be Klein's. It would say Klein on it probably. Klein's are pretty good, pretty standard. They're electrical focused. And their deal, stuff that they do. There's some other brands, like Something Electric. I wasn't a huge fan. They were pretty quality for like home use. But in the end, now that I got that company card and I'm doing the stuff every day, why not buy the better stuff that you know is going to last? Torque wrench is a Husky. It's a snap torque wrench. I like these. Little tip that I didn't do, because you can see there, it's already set to the torque of bus bars. You should not leave your torque wrench with the spring tightened for torque checking while you have it stored, because you eventually, overuse, will detension the spring inside. This weird thing, I might get a question about this. This is a proprietary breaker interlock defeat tool. When we have the breakers racked out, we slide this in the side and it lifts up a pin that tells the breaker that it's racked in so we can test it. These are going to be everywhere in my stuff. These are the standard panel face screws. So that is, and this is the tool that drives it. I always have extra of these, 3/8 drive, always. All of our panel screws. Square D is the company I work for. They were bought by Schneider Electric, so I work for Square D by Schneider Electric. All of our panel screws use 3/8, so I have one of those all of the time. All right, we got, you know these guys, if you've been here on my channel before, the Harbor Freight 9mm nitro gloves by Hardy. I tried the gloves. I should have kept the box and did a review before I gave them away. But the like Gorilla gloves or whatever that are sold at Home Depot, I tried them. They have nice grippy hands. But I'll tell you what, their gloves, I think the smallest they sell is large, and then they have extra large. The large is too big for my hands. The large for Harbor Freight's, well, you saw the video, is awesome. They have the size chart in the back. You put your hand up to it. It tells you how to do it, and boom, there's the size. They didn't have that. These are cheaper. There's more of them. I think these are a better glove. Those were 6mm. I made sure to get the box that actually said what mil they were with the Gorilla gloves, and the thickest gloves they sell is 6mm. They lasted half the time that these do on my hands. So from now on, I will be only purchasing these gloves at Harbor Freight. They're pretty fantastic. Breakers have grease on them, and we have to lift them up and down, put them in. I don't like to put my oily, dirty fingers onto the bus bars. It's kind of corrodes them, and that's an issue with electrical things. Wire zip ties, I need these all the time. Doing control wiring, this is the company. of the dikes that I have. Commercial Electric. They lasted me a good long time, but the plastic, rubberized plastic in the handle started cracking. These guys, always using them. Not so much this size. I noticed these are not the best, not the most consistent quality when you have to draw these longer ones tight. They kind of lose their ratcheting ability, and sometimes they're loose. The medium size are the good ones. I buy the contractor pack. Is this even, I think it's a different brand. Yep, different brand. These ones are better quality. Gardner Bender. Weird. These are better quality. I find I use these more, especially when doing control wiring. The most I have to go around usually in a wiring harness is like that much. And you don't... sometimes I have to use the extra small ones. If I'm doing like 1 or 2 wires here and there by themselves, I find that I don't use these very often. If you're going to have wire ties, don't do like somebody else on my job site did and rip the whole bag open, especially if you have a tiny zip ties. That's the savage thing to do. I like to have a little tiny hole and grab a little bit at a time. You know, because then they spill out in the bottom of your toolbox. There's not any in here this time because I just cleaned them out. But they get all over inside my toolbox. Set this light up. Let me turn this down. It's about the same. Bluetooth speaker. So everything we use on my job site, I was gonna see like if we were saving money. I was just gonna get the high-end Harbor Freight battery tools. But I was directed to get Milwaukee because everyone in my company uses Milwaukee. So I'm Team Red now, I guess. So everything I have is Milwaukee, and it's super expensive. But I'm not paying for it, so it's quality. I've noticed my home drills, the Porter cable battery set that I have is nowhere near as sturdy and ergonomical as this stuff. This stuff is comfortable. It doesn't flex, and it can take a pretty good beating. Anyway, so Bluetooth speaker makes a huge difference on the job site. You know, if you're in a quiet room with fans blowing, it just is a nightmare. You need something to keep your mind off of the gross of the day. This is a really good speaker. This battery will last me almost 2 full 8-hour days of working. It's a little 12-volt battery. The only reason I bought these was for my ratchet. In case I needed to get it in a small space. I'm all about battery capacity and buying the biggest batteries so that they last longer. But sometimes my ratchet's a little too big. So I got those. But it is convenient for this speaker. It sits flush. The small battery sits flush, so it stands even like that on its own, like a little tripod. If you put the bigger batteries in there, it stands on the bottom base of the battery. It doesn't tip over. Pretty quality speaker. I saw it on clearance and I was like, why not? Impact. This thing is a moneymaker. This is one of my go-to tools. That's why it's on the top. Every job I'm pulling this out, I'm slapping in 3/8 drive. I'm pulling panel screws off. If I need to take some Phillips heads out of a face of a breaker, this is where I'm going to. So it cuts down on a significant amount of time. Pretty ergonomic. It's got a belt clip on there. I use the belt clip all the time. You know, you're trying to hold a panel on and line it up. You're using both hands. You're holding screws. I put my 3/8 drive in here, clip that on my belt. Good to go. I have my bigger screwdrivers in here that I can't fit in the bag. This is convenient. It's great. There's this little organizer in the back. It comes out. My light slides right in that little hole. Doesn't come above the top, and this is with the big battery. All right, sit on the thing. There we go. This light is pretty fantastic. It's the this guy. I looked at all the other lights that they had there. This is the one to go. The 18-volt tools are awesome. The 12-volt tools, I noticed they eat power like mad. 12-volt batteries, I figure they just run out real quickly. So I try to reach for the M18. This light on full power lasts a good, probably one work day. I haven't tried it on half power. I usually just put it on full power. It lights up a whole job area. So you could use it as a work area work light for everything almost. I have quality ratchet straps. Sometimes we have to move big cables out of the way. These are money. I used them as a crane one time, alternating between the two. Various tools that I bought come with batteries and a charger, so I end up having 3 chargers. I would like to have 1 sequential charging unit. Hold on a second. Anyway, so sequential charger. I kind of don't want to go with a sequential charger because a sequential charger charges 1 battery and then the next one and then the next one. It will not charge multiple batteries at one time. So if I have 3 chargers, I'm charging 3 batteries.
Thank you.
So if you're charging 1 battery at a time, vice 3, you're not charging a lot of batteries at a time. It's more efficient kind of to have 3. But the drawback to that is now you have 3 different chargers and you need 3 different sockets to plug it into. I'm thinking of building a board that I can mount all of my chargers to with a splitter, a power bar on there, some way that they're hard mounted to it so I can charge 3 batteries at a time and not worry about it. These come with, they have the 18-volt socket and a 12-volt socket on the back. That, you know, it's a standard charger, pretty much, not too much different. I mean, what else is there to say? It's a charger. I might make a video on making that power board. We got the standard M18 2.0 batteries, a bunch of those. 2.0 stands for 2 amp hours. Okay, so their number on here is amp hour rating. So this should give you, at 1 amp of power consumption, 2 hours. That's how much energy is stored in this. Yeah. Again, more magnetic tool trays. I have 3 of these. I made a video including magnetic tool trays, and you know, I like to have multiple tool trays so that I can split them up into different work sites. If I have screws for a breaker, I'll put them all in here. If I have all of our panel cover bolts, I'll put them in another tray. If I have multiple cabinets open, I'll have 1 tray for that cabinet and another tray for this cabinet over here to keep them organized, because sometimes the fasteners, mixing them all together in 1 tray is not a great idea. These are pretty cheap, so why not get more? This is an older Husky that came with my work truck. They reverse the magnets for some reason, so these don't stick together, which is kind of a pain. It's repelling right there. But the ones that are all the same, that came in a set, they stick together, so they're stackable, which is nice. Periodically I have to cut through the panels, so I have the jigsaw in here. They have an inline jigsaw that I was looking for, but Home Depot doesn't stock them. It's really a pain. So with that one, the motor still stands up. This is where the motor is located, in there. And the operating handle comes out the back, and the trigger is down here. So it's super short in case I need to get inside of a panel and make a cut. I haven't needed to do that. All of my cuts have been on a table on the other side of the room. But if I did need to cut something out of a panel, that would come in handy. In which case I should be using a Sawzall, reciprocating saw, but I haven't needed to demo a panel like that. We usually just unbolt things. This is called a suicide cord. It is a standard UL rated replacement cord, which is meant to replace cords. So this would be plugged. You would connect this into your vacuum or whatever else you needed a cord for, your circular saw. It should have a ground on there. We never use this. What I use this for is rigging up temporary power to control circuits. So I'll take this and hook it up to a transformer where the control system gets its power from. It's called a suicide cord because if you mess it up and you plug this end in first before you have this end connected, then you could kill yourself. I have a GFCI on here in case I hook it up wrong and it draws too much current. It'll pop and turn it off. I also use this as a power switch so that I don't mess that up. Gives it extra safety. I got a bunch of M18 batteries in here. These are really convenient because they have a power meter on here. If I don't know the status of the battery, boom, it's right there on the battery. Comes in handy when I'm charging batteries, sometimes the night before, when I know we're going to take down power to the whole thing and work in the dark, and I'm at a hotel. I bring this box into the room. I look at all these and I can tell which ones need it and which ones don't. Even if they show 4 lights like that, I'll still throw them in the charger. Sometimes they have a little bit of a room on them, and I want them fully charged because sometimes when we're working in the dark, things don't go right, and we end up spending 23 hours on a job site straight trying to get the job done because they need the power back. This is the ratchet. Electric ratchet, battery powered. It's an M12. I think they do make an M18, but I went with the 12. I wanted a smaller